Just a disclaimer before I start, I apologize for any mispronunciations in this video. I have tried to look up the correct pronunciations of words I'm unfamiliar with in this case, but forgive me if I get them wrong. Malaysia is a beautiful country, encouraging millions of people from around the world to holiday there every year. However, in 2019, one holiday ended up in a daughter missing in the jungle and two parents fighting for answers as to what happened that fateful night. Nora Quoirin was born in 2004 and lived in London with her parents, Maeve and Sebastian, and her siblings Maurice and Innes. She was only 15 years old when her disappearance shocked many around the world in 2019. She was born with holoprosencephaly, which is a disorder that affects brain development and caused Nora to have struggles with things like mobility. She had some other disabilities as well, but despite this all, she was a happy and bright teenager with what should have been many, many wonderful years ahead of her. On the 3rd of August 2019, Nora and her family arrive in Malaysia for a 2-week holiday and book into the 𝙉𝙤𝙧𝙖 Resort, a beautiful place nestled in the hills of the 𝙉𝙤𝙧𝙖 Mountains. Whilst everything looked peaceful and relaxing, by 8:30 a.m. the next morning, this was all to change. Nora's family awoke to find her missing and her bedroom window wide open. Immediately they inform authorities and a search team is set up to look for her. Days go by and search efforts continue as rescue teams, including a helicopter and drones, hike through the surrounding jungle, playing a recording of her mother calling her name and looking for any evidence to lead them to her. Just be warned, this is one of the most heartbreaking things you will hear. During this time, Nora's family made interview appearances, claiming that their child would not simply walk off, saying that she wouldn't even go into the garden at home without having a family member hold her hand, and that instead they believed she'd been abducted.
We often go for just, an hour's walk in the park together. Nora had quite a lot of physical challenges in both her fine motor and gross motor skills. So she was physically well and able from a basic point of view, but Nora struggled a great deal with her balance and coordination in particular. So she would have to, for instance, if she would try to run or move quickly, she would have a lot of difficulty with that or had a very awkward gait. She would often fall or stumble if she was walking in areas that were not flat or straight. To be constantly on the move, you need to be able to move quickly. Nora always moved very slowly, I must say, but also quite naturally, you would have a lot of damage to your body because of the terrain. And relatively speaking, in context, she did not. And I am quite shocked by that because, as we've said, it was extremely steep, extremely rocky, extremely difficult to navigate across branches, across dense jungle and so on. Why does the state of her body not reflect that of someone who was constantly moving and constantly exposed to the harshest elements? So I think that is an area of concern for me.
However, Malaysian authorities believe that no foul play had occurred in her disappearance. 9 days after she had gone missing, Nora's family put up a reward of over £9,000, which is about 11,000 US dollars, for Nora's safe return.
In order to help their investigation, we have decided to offer a reward, 50,000 ringgit.
And a helpline was set up for the public to call in tips regarding her whereabouts. However, this would make very little difference, as the next day, on the 13th of August 2019, Nora's body was found around 2.5 kilometres away from the resort where her family were staying. She was located in a very inaccessible area by a small stream and was unclothed, with her head on her hands as if she was sleeping. An autopsy performed found that she had apparently died of starvation and prolonged stress after 7 days of walking through the jungle. According to the report, there were no signs of violence or abduction found, and her death was ruled accidental. There are a few theories as to what may have happened to Nora, but the main theory is that of the coroner, who claims her death was simply a misadventure, causing her to become disorientated and lost, and eventually dying of starvation and stress. However, this theory doesn't take into account the fact that she was found completely naked, or that she was, according to the pathology findings, still alive and walking around up until 3 days before her death, meaning that surely someone would have found her or evidence of her up until that point. Plus, there were no cuts or scars on the soles of her feet, which would have been there if she had been walking around for a week, barefoot, through a jungle. However, the Quoirin family argue that her body was placed there by somebody, as she would have been alive for around 7 days whilst the search had been carried out of the area. They also claim the fact that the window was open, which they say wasn't opened by them when she disappeared, is clear evidence that somebody abducted her. Her family described Nora as being someone who always looked to someone else for reassurance on what she should do next, which makes the idea of her climbing out of a window in her bare feet on a jungle floor less likely, as her mother exclaims, "She would have instantly felt pain, and she would have been absolutely petrified." So what do you think? Was Nora's death due to her walking off into the jungle during the night and becoming lost? Or do you think it was something more sinister? Whatever happened, this is truly one of the most tragic cases I have come across, and I hope her family and friends are able to find peace after such a traumatizing experience.